In September of 2006, Sheriff Toelke and several friends decided they would take a motorcycle trip. It would be less than a day he would receive news that baby Abby was kidnapped.
Because when Abby was kidnapped, I wasn't here. I'm coming back on a motorcycle and trying to think, oh my God, this, that, and everything. And I finally got to a place where I could call in, and I got a hold of Mike, and I said, Mike, what about? And he goes, well, I got this. He had it all set up. It was ready to go, and which is very comforting. But
Sheriff Toelke tells the sequence of events and emotional roller coaster he went on, learning that baby Abby was safe and sound.
If I remember correct, Major Copeland was at the house when they thought they had found baby Abby. Then it was confirmed, and when you got did he call you direct? So, that has got to be the greatest feeling, not just that news, but to get it from your best friend, and something that just you two get to share.
Well, that was definitely an interesting time, and I'll never forget it. But I had actually gone out there to the family to deliver bad news. I mean, we had found the onesie, and it had, which was what Abby was wearing when she was kidnapped, and it had blood on it. And we're thinking, first of all, why did whoever did this take it off? And the other thing is, whose blood was it? Abby's, Stephanie's, or who? And so while I was doing that, they were getting ready to organize a search of a pond, which the major was in charge in. So when I get to the house, there was like 30 people there, supporting the family. And I said, I need to talk to, just the immediate family. So we went into a room downstairs. And while I was telling him about the onesie, Mike calls me on the radio, and he said, they found a baby and it's dead. And oh my God, here I am now, I've got to tell them, and you talk about a terrible feeling. And when Mike called, I could tell there was something wrong. So I did actually, I excused myself. I told the family, I said, you mind if I take this call? And so I went outside, and that's when he told me that, and I thought, oh geez. And then all of a sudden, no, he said, well, wait a minute. He says, now they're saying it's alive. He said, I don't know, Ned. I heard him say something like, get up. Get up here, or something like that. I kind of get emotional. But he said, somebody tell me. He said, somebody get a right answer. Let me know what happened. So then he said, now they think it's alive, but they're not sure that it's Abby. And I'm sitting here thinking, well, what other baby could it be? Or what are the circumstances around? Well, but what the deal was, Mike was up in this field, and there was a guy down below that was yelling, and they were yelling back and forth, and he couldn't hear very well. So anyway, when I told him, I said, just, where's the baby at? And then he told me, I think it was at the intersection of Project Road and 47, or I forgot exactly what the directions were. So then I went back into the family, and I said, don't get your hopes up. But I said, they found a baby. I said, I don't know if it's Abby. And I said, I don't want to commit to anything until I find out. So then I took off. I said, I'll be back. And because I wanted to see for sure and make absolutely sure that was, the real babies, or the right babies. So I remember I had so much on my mind. Yeah. I knew where 47 and Project Road was. As I was going out there, I turned down the wrong stupid road. And there was a trooper. He knew where I was going, and he was sitting there along the side of the road, and he looked at me. I figured he was probably trying to hear, where the heck is he going? So anyway, I figured out what I had done and turned around, and then Chuck Supke was out in the road and had Abby in his arms, and then I looked and I saw the birthmark. So, then I knew for sure who it was. And that's when I went back to the house, and we loaded up in the car and headed to the hospital.
What is that feeling like to see something like that, and to know, we know it's not just you, it's your department, to see that, everything you've worked towards is culminated in this one moment? Well,
yeah, the phone call was, probably one of the worst things I've heard in my years, but the aftermath was probably,
In the first week of January 2007, one of the greatest stories would unfold. Sheriff Toelke shares a behind-the-scenes story of how he found out that not only did they find Ben Owenby, but also Sean Hornbeck.
Some of you may already speculate on what we have, but we did locate Ben this afternoon. in the city of Kirkwood, and we've also located Sean Hornbeck, who was at the same residence with him when he was located. There was joy followed by quiet, and people were, they just, a lot of times they were so happy they didn't know what to say and couldn't say anything. So, quite an experience. Kyle Marquardt, who was with the Highway Patrol, he was a lieutenant then, he's a captain now. He was in our conference room, and I went in there with him. They had, when I came in, they told me about the white truck, that they had spotted this thing in Kirkwood. And they were talking about how they had gone to the house, and there was a young boy that came to the door, but they didn't know Ben was in there, and they just, things were looking a little bit weird. And so anyway, Kyle and I were sitting there talking about that. And Kyle said, well, he said, that boy that answered the door, he said, that's going to be Sean Hornbeck. I go, yeah, right, Kyle, because nobody had law. So, we were just kind of, at least Kyle may have been serious, but I thought he was just joking. And probably wasn't too long after that, Roland Carvington, the FBI agent, came in. And he looked at me and said, have you heard? And I said, you mean about the white truck? He goes, no. He says, have you heard? I said, no, about what? And he said, wait a minute. He says, let me check something out first. He said, I think somebody's blowing smoke up my rear. Yeah. And so he was gone a little bit, and then all of a sudden one of my detectives came in, and she said, have you heard? I said, heard what? And she said, well, they found Sean Hornbeck, or they found Ben, and Sean Hornbeck was in the same room. And I'm sitting there thinking, this is really a sick joke. Because cops have a tendency to do the weird humor.
That would be a little overboard.
Yeah, in which it would have been. But so anyway, then Roland comes back in, and I said, Roland, is that true? And he says, I think so. He said, I'm calling one of my agents there now, who was on the scene, and so he verified then that it was him, and that was just unreal. But the aftermath was probably, Abby and Ben's case both. I use the analogy of that was my Super Bowl,
Yeah.
Because that's what it feels like, just winning the Super Bowl.
So,
what are you going to miss the absolute most?
Oh, people. Yeah, people here. Here we go again. The ones that have been here for many, many years, it's kind of, you get kind of accustomed to walking in and seeing them.
Yeah.
But, but I don't really plan on being a stranger either. I, come around and say hi now and then, and may come up if Sheriff Steele will let me and work out a little bit. So I don't know that I'll just completely disappear unless they want me to, but.